I am enraged at the LeBron James discourse because and by the way, it's a lot of people that I actually really like and respect that are, here's been the timeline of it. 2 months ago, this is going to be the wildest offseason in NBA history.
Shams.
Buckle up, everybody. Get ready. Offseason starts. Durant gets traded. That's cool. More on that in a moment, but we all knew that was coming. Since then, the only thing of note is Norman Powell, you guys stealing him away. And credit to you guys, Norman Powell's a nice player. Also, it is not lost on me that the only moment in anyone's life where they've actually spent real time pretending to care about Norman Powell was when they were like, won't someone think of Norman Powell in the 4 minutes in the All-Star game he could have gotten if LeBron would have just told him he wasn't going to play? Somebody think of Norman Powell. But I digress. Then, in the middle of all of it, the greatest, or at worst, second greatest player of all time, who's never been traded, who's never been the subject of trade rumors because he honors his contracts, and no team would ever trade him, even when they were offered prime Kobe Bryant for him and he was 22 years old, they wouldn't trade him. He might be available. And the collective media has been either a shrug or open annoyance. Oh, I guess we're going to do this again. Another summer of LeBron. I'm sorry, you'd rather talk about the second apron some more? We'd rather talk about Jonathan Kuminga's restricted free agency offer? I'm interested in LeBron for Karl Anthony Towns, who says no. I'm interested in, are the Lakers being derelict of responsibility by allegedly prioritizing cap space in 2 years when when they have Luka Doncic and LeBron James on their team. And now back to the Durant thing, because everyone's response has been, well, it's a 40-year-old LeBron James. Last year, if you were not named Joker, Shea, Giannis, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, you finished behind LeBron James in MVP voting and in first-team All-NBA voting. He was, by the voters, of which I'm not one, the 6th most valuable and the 6th best player in the league last year. We just saw an old player who he is better than, Kevin Durant, be traded for a decent amount of stuff, and the universal reaction, myself included, is, what a great trade by the Rockets. They could win the title. And then a player who's better than him might be available, and people are like, who would really want him? Like, really? You're gonna change things up for a guy who at this point is, I don't know, the 7th best player in the league? And by the way, doesn't he acknowledge that him making $52 million is part of the problem? When Jimmy Butler makes the same, when Karl Anthony Towns makes more, when it's roughly what Zach LaVine makes, it's all nonsense.
Name names on media people. Who you mad at? Howard Beck? Who you mad at?
Well, I love Howard Beck. And Howard Beck is not at all a flamethrower. But he was just, I read his column and then I listened to the pod, and he seemed like annoyed that this was a story. And I don't get it. I don't understand. So, and you mentioned Howard, not me, and how, like, I think Howard's great. I just don't.
Well, you didn't mention any names. You just said in general. You didn't mention any.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's the general, what do you call it? Atmosphere, for lack of a better term.
Well, that's the term you want to use if you don't want to name the reporters you're talking about who you otherwise
because I like them.
Oh, but what are they?
Like
but who's breathless? Let me see. Can I accuse you? Let me see here.
Straw man.
If you don't name names, then it becomes a straw man. If you're just saying they say or many people are saying, like it's.
Well, see, now listen. I know what you're trying. You're trying to bait me into a viral clip or an awful announcing piece, and you know what? It worked. Your guy Simmons. I mean, Bill. How many? How I gotta listen to more about how
Go on.
Yes, LeBron James is good, but at this point, every time he does a pod, he goes from 13th to 15th to 17th best player. We just saw a season that. Oh, you can't. If LeBron's making $52 million, you can't win a title. In what world? In what world is the 6th or 7th best player alive being the 13th highest paid player an impediment to winning? And and again, if your belief system purely was that, well, it's just at that age, except you worship at the altar of Steph Curry, who LeBron James is better than in the Olympics, in the regular season, right now, Kevin Durant, who LeBron James is better than. Like, what are we talking about? Like, just, again, I am just trying to be fair. That's all I ask for anybody. Just be fair. And when Bron does something that I think is wrong or it doesn't play well or takes a shot at Windy, which I thought was unnecessary and misguided, I will say it. And when everyone, for the 15th straight year, ever since the decision, anniversary yesterday, by the way, all of us probably made some good money off the tied that raise, none more so than every single person in that room, then, acts like he's an annoyance, I think is outrageous. That's all.
Nick, I will say, you asked what world does all of those things that LeBron has done this year does not win a championship? This world, right? They got clapped by the Wolves.
No, hold on. I did not say that LeBron James in and of himself guarantees you a championship. What I am saying is this. Jimmy Butler, who is in any metric an inferior player by eye test, stat, and availability to LeBron James, comes available, the Warriors trade for him, and we're like, oh my God, can they win the championship now? Kevin Durant, who is less available and by any metric, slightly, but an inferior player still to LeBron James, gets traded to the Houston Rockets, and we're like, they might win the championship. If Steph Curry were potentially 5% available, everyone would be like, oh my God, and he makes $10 million more than LeBron, and his team was below 500 before they traded for Jimmy. But yes, got clapped by the Wolves. Can you imagine thinking you're a championship contender and losing to the Wolves in 5 games? Just like the Golden State Warriors did. So I'm just asking for an air of consistency. That's all.
Well, but Nick, isn't the part that people are annoyed with is the behavior is so passive aggressive. That's what it is. It's like we're trying to decipher code here to figure out what LeBron actually wants.
Really? Zaz, I'll be honest. What do you think he wants? I bet you can say it immediately because it's not hard to understand. Either try to win right now or move or trade me. Where's the code? It wasn't passive aggressive, and it wasn't in code, and it wasn't in hieroglyphics. It was very simple. You guys seem focused on the future. I'm going into year 23. I'm 40. My son is on the team. I'm that old. So, as the great Marlo Stanfield once said, do it or don't. But I got places to be.
I mean, the statement that Rich Paul put out, I don't know, it didn't look real clear.
Well, but it's as strong as it can be under the circumstances if you're opting in.
Zaz, I'm not trying to be combative. Was there any interpretation to that statement other than the one that I just said? I would like you to be aggressive to win now, and if you're not going to be, we should reevaluate our relationship. Isn't that the universal reading of it? Or was there another one I didn't see?
Well, but what are you expecting them to do if you're LeBron there?
Well, I don't know.
What move is out there?
How about this? Not have Dorian Finney-Smith on the team, who Luka adores and is useful in today's league. Do a whisper campaign around the league about his medicals to try to tear down his value. Have him then leave for Houston, and you then leak to your media people, we were fine with it because we want cap space open in 2027. And then Dorian Finney-Smith's contract comes out, and it's like, oh, it's a team option in the summer of 2027. How about that? How about not have the entirety of the good general managing moves you've made in the last decade be LeBron calls and you answer, LeBron calls Anthony Davis and puts you on the phone, and Nico Harrison makes the single worst trade in league history. How about that? It's not a lot.
So why not just opt out if you're LeBron? Opt out.
He wants the money.
That's the common easy thing to say. Why not opt out? And the answer is because there is a obvious problem with opting out right now, which is If you want max money, Brooklyn's the only one that can get it. Now, you can say, no, you've made $1 billion. Take the league minimum, which, by the way, for the vast majority of contenders, all they could offer you is the literal league minimum or something very close to it. You know as well as everyone in that room, if LeBron James had opted out and taken the minimum to sign with Denver or wherever, universal fakering. Oh, give me a break. Yeah, stacking the deck. Another LeBron James con job and unfair to the other players. Now there's an expectation. There was no scenario. Oh, Nick, so LeBron, why not opt out, take less to give the Lakers more flexibility? Again, that's not a thing that existed. If LeBron took a salary from $52 million to $15 million, you know how many dollars in cap space that opens for the Lakers? 0. So again, this is my frustration. Finish the thought, somebody. Opt out, take the minimum, sign with who? Fine. If anybody that acts like, had he done that, it would have been like, wow, good for LeBron. Selfless, cares about winning. When the entire narrative would have been stacking the deck, fake ring, all this. We all know it. And the other piece of this, nobody's ever done that. Hey, LeBron, we would like you when you just were 6th in MVP voting and you already make less money than Karl Anthony Towns to make even less. No one in the history of the league has ever done anything similar to it. Nick, Dirk took less. Dirk was 11 points per game. There was 7 in his final year. It's not the same. Kobe didn't take less, and Kobe was on a 30-win team. But again,
I don't think he gets killed if he goes to Cleveland or New York. I don't think he gets killed if he goes to either one of those two.
If he goes there on the minimum, there is
Cleveland on the minimum to close the story. Cleveland, we got to go. Let's play our game here. We're going to pick this up. He's always ready to talk about LeBron.